Well, hello there, Daily Mentor Message Tribe. I'm going to forewarn you. Today, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to peel back the curtain, peel back the veil, lift the veil, if you will, and let you see the inner emotions of Don D. Nettles. And I'm not going to ask you to share them or believe with them or agree with me in any way. In fact, I give you permission to completely 100% disagree with me because you have that right, because we have freedom of speech. We have a constitution that has amendments, and that's one of them. It's a very powerful one. I don't believe in censorship at all. I don't believe in telling people their opinions are wrong, because your opinion is just as valid to you as mine is to me. Because as a white, heterosexual male, I have a certain view of the world based on my upbringing, based on my beliefs, based on my faith, based on my experience, based on my age, and based on how I was raised. And so do you, whatever you define yourself as, or however you are socially defined. So as a white heterosexual male, I don't know what it's like to think like an African-American lesbian, because I'm not one. And I'm never going to tell an African-American lesbian that her feelings are wrong, her thoughts are wrong, her actions, her behaviors are wrong, because that would be hypocritical of me, because I honor something called the golden rule. It's Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, and the paraphrase is this: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And for those of you who don't know, Matthew chapter 7, verse 12 is a book out of the Holy Bible. I'm going to read to you the New International Translation of Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, and it says this: so in everything, how many things? In everything. In everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. I'm going to read that again because that is so powerful and all-encompassing. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets. That is called the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So here's my challenge to you. Before you say something, before you post something, before you comment on something, are you opening yourself up for reciprocity, for them to do the same thing to you, especially if you're going to go on an emotional tangent, or tell them and base your opinions against their opinions and make your opinions reign supreme over theirs, because you don't have that right. I mean, I guess you do because of freedom of speech, but when you do so, it doesn't make you look so good. So be respectful and honor people's opinion to think exactly contrary to you. But here's a challenge for you. Listen to why they think that way. What are their reasons? What is their upbringing like? How do they see a differing worldview than yours? And make it a point to seek to understand them rather than force them to understand you or make them wrong if they choose not to, because that's just silly. This morning, I had a post that I made about last night's DNC, and there's been quite a few supportive comments. There's been some opposing comments. And I treat them all the same, because I'm not here to make other people wrong when it's my opinion against theirs, because I don't have that right. I do have the obligation, in my self-imposed obligation, to learn why someone thinks something, especially if they think differently to me. And both of them said in their individual comments that one said they know a lot of Republicans, lifelong Republicans, that are voting for Kamala Harris. And I just don't understand that. And the other one I was talking to said she personally was a lifelong Republican until Donald Trump, and now she's voting for Kamala Harris. Here's the situation. To me, and the reason is because of his 34 convictions and his extramarital affair and the supposed things that are held against him, whatever they are. And only God knows what's real and what's not. Here's my position on it. I kind of looked at it this way. If I'm a lifelong vegan, because I don't agree with cruelty to animals, I don't agree with how they do it, I don't agree with the inhumane way they treat these animals during their upbringing, making them fat, and especially how they kill them to bring their flesh to market so people that eat meat like me can indulge. I understand why vegans feel that way, and they have every right to, and I support many of that. I've been a pet owner all my life. In fact, I have a dog at my feet and 2 cats. One of them you're probably going to see jump up on the table here and walk in front of this camera. I love pets. I've always had pets my entire life. There was pets in my home before I entered my home. In fact, there was pictures of me coming home from the hospital lying next to our Chihuahua Cheeky, and Cheeky was bigger than me. My family has always had pets. It's a normal part of my life. It always has been. My wife, Marcy, not so much. Her pets, she named them Ham, Burger, and Bacon, because that's what they ended up as. Ham and Burger were 2 cows, and Bacon was a pig. They raised them just long enough to take them to slaughter, have them killed, and bring and fill their freezer with them. I've never eaten one of my pets, and I can't even imagine that. But I'm not going to tell my wife, Marcy, she's wrong, because I was not raised on a farm like she was. I was raised in the city. In fact, when Marcy and I started dating, the only horse I had previously ever been on was the one outside Stater Brothers Market in Riverside, California, that I put a quarter in, got up on top, and fell off of that. That's my very narrow, city-minded upbringing. I'm never going to make Marcy wrong because she's eaten her pets. They weren't even pets. They were just animals they fed just long enough to allow them to be sustenance for their family. Now, I get that. But back to my vegan story. So if I'm a lifelong vegan because I don't agree with the inhumane treating of animals, and then I find out the person who's the spokesperson for veganism, if there is one, just got convicted of 34 felonies, allegedly, and had an extramarital affair, and is just a bad guy, I'm not going to go, you know what? Screw that guy. I'm going to go eat a hamburger now because I don't believe in veganism anymore. That to me is just silly. So because Democratic views and liberal views and Republican views and conservative views are obviously, and many times, they're very different from one another. So just because one person is a spokesperson you don't agree with doesn't mean you go vote for the other side. That doesn't make sense, or makes me question your values and why you voted a certain way. Because I love emotions and I love values and morals and ethics, and my values and morals and ethics may be very different than yours because you were raised a different way. I get it. And until we have similar things that we can say we identify with and we relate to, voting for something else just because you don't like that, I just don't get it. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying that's outside my bandwidth. So I'm going to use vegan and meat eater as an example. But what about atheists? What if I'm an atheist and I don't believe in any God? In fact, I think it's fictitious. It doesn't even make sense. The fossil record doesn't support it. And I'm like, nope, I am a staunch vegan. Let's say maybe I could be vegan and atheist. So I'm a staunch vegan and I'm an atheist. And then the person who represents atheism in my mind he's found to be a bad guy or a bad gal. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to church now because screw that. I'm not following that person anymore. That would just, in my opinion, display kind of a weak foundation and that I'm not really committed. I'm kind of wishy-washy and I waver. And is that okay? Of course it's okay. Maybe people's very emotional decisions that they make are not rooted in much other than their emotions, which tend to fluctuate sometimes. I agree with it. I support it. Good for you. Right on, my friend. Go for it. I just don't get it because I commit to something because of my emotions, because of my convictions, and I honor the right for you to do the same. So I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. But here's another example. For me, it's heavy metal music. I'm a metalhead. Most of my music collection is heavy metal, and it's certainly not because of the lyrical content and the brilliance of the deep lyrics that are just incredibly intellectual. It's more the banging of the guitars, the crunchy guitars, the banging of the drums. That's what I tend to gravitate toward. Now, I don't really like country music, but I can respect country music, and I love the emotion because if I read the lyrics of a country song and I listen to the music, it's going to hit me right here. It will bring tears to my eyes. I haven't really had a heavy metal song that brought tears to my eyes unless it made my ears bleed and it was too loud, because I just don't really attach to that kind of lyrical content or emotions. I told you I had a cat. You can hear her in the background. So this is the thing. It's emotions for me. It's a commitment to me. It's what makes me tick and what resonates me and makes my spirit just race. Those are the kinds of things I get behind. And when you get behind similar things, I will applaud you, high five you, and encourage you all day long, even if it's directly opposed to the way I think and act and behave, because you have that right. And I support you in that right all day long. And I always will. because that's how I think we should behave. Respect each other because of our differences and try to understand each other so we can support and say, you know what, I don't necessarily agree with you, but you're an awesome person. And anybody that I know that thinks that way, I'm going to put them in contact with you because I truly honor and respect who you are and why you think that way. But I'm going to be voting differently, or I'm going to be buying that record differently, or I'm going to be eating off of a different menu than you, whatever the case may be. And it's okay. It is what it is. So there you go. I challenge you to respect and honor people, to think differently than you, act differently than you, and believe differently than you, and love them regardless, because they're human beings just like you. You owe them that respect, I believe. And if you don't choose to extend that to them, that's just on you. But I still love you. Have a wonderful day. Take care. God bless. And try. In fact, make it a point to go out and find someone who thinks differently than you, buy them coffee, sit down and talk to them, and maybe exchange a conversation. I bet you'll have a lot more respect for people who think like them, and probably them for you too. And you can have a friend. That's what it's all about. Have a great day. Take care, and God bless.